Jonathan had always believed in angels. Not in the way a child believes in bedtime stories, but in the way a drowning man believes in the surface. Desperate, clinging, needing them to be real. He had whispered prayers into empty rooms, spoken names that had no answers. He had imagined them as light, as warmth, as salvation. But angels are not warm. They are not gentle. And one night, they answered. It began with a sound beneath sound, a resonance that filled the spaces between his thoughts, vibrating through the walls of his apartment, through the city beyond, through the very air itself. It was not a noise but a feeling, a deep and boundless hush that swallowed every other sound. The streetlights outside his window flickered and went dark, their glow retreating into a thick, starless void that pressed against the world like a waiting breath. Then the sky peeled, not shattered, not split, just peeled, like something vast and unseen was drawing back a veil. The stars did not blink out. They folded, curling into themselves like dying embers, revealing something behind them, something deeper than space. It was not blackness, not emptiness, but something other. A color without a name, a shape without edges. Jonathan stood frozen, his breath caught in his throat. He could feel it coming, not a presence, not a being, but a becoming. The air thickened, pressing against his skin like the weight of unseen hands. His bones hummed in harmony with something vast, something that had always been there, waiting just beyond the limits of perception. Then it emerged, not descending, not arriving, but coalescing from the fabric of everything unseen. The angel did not have wings, not in any way he could understand. There were folds, rippling veils of color that bled into one another, shifting with the slow grace of something unbound by time. They were not feathers, not light, but moving layers of meaning, undulating like waves in an ocean too vast to comprehend. Within those shifting veils, countless eyes blinked and wept, their pupils spiraling in fractal patterns, each iris reflecting something Jonathan could not bear to look at for long. There was no face, or perhaps there were too many. A shifting hollow in the center of its form rippled with flickering impressions of what could be. Faces he almost recognized, features that belonged to no one and everyone. A shifting mosaic of selves that had never been born. Jonathan wanted to run, but his body would not obey. Not out of fear. There was no room for fear. Fear was small, human. This was something else. Something that stretched the fabric of his mind, unraveling him thread by thread, thought by thought. The angel sang, not with sound, not with voice, but with existence. The song was not music, but meaning, vibrating through the marrow of the universe, reverberating in his chest like the echo of something he had always known, but never understood. It was the sound of the first dawn. The hush before a soul takes its first breath. The weight of something infinite pressing into finite space. And then, the angel's hollow opened. Jonathan saw. He saw the spaces between moments, the infinite variations of himself unraveling into threads of possibility. He saw the architecture of prayers before they were spoken, the lattice work of reality being rewritten in real time. He saw his own reflection flicker between lives he had never lived, stretching outward into something so much greater. And in that moment, he knew. The golden-winged figures of his childhood had been lies, comforting illusions, stories meant to soften the truth. The beings that answered prayers were not gentle. They were not kind. They were not watching. They were weaving. And Jonathan, his name, his form, his self, was being rewoven. The angel's veils curled inward, folding over him, drawing him into the space between its ever-moving eyes. He did not scream. He sang. And then, he was gone.